Hello, everyone. I'm Christina, and it's very nice to meet you if we haven't already. Today, we're going to have a very important prophecy update because Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is coming up, and it might be a lot more important than you think it is. So, before we go on, while I'm waiting for people to kind of get here, and to say this to people that come along later, don't forget to hit like, please. Subscribe. I love it when you comment. It's totally my favorite. And please share out these videos. Please. Love everybody. Love everybody. I do. Okay, so Rosh Hashanah. If you think that this year has been wild, I know the Louisiana hurricane came through. It hit a lot of states, all the way up, flooded New York. A lot of people out of power. A lot of things that we expected spawned tornadoes, major flooding. We did know that was coming. Displaced a lot of people. And currently, they are expecting something to be moving along the Texas-Louisiana coastline and somewhere between the 9th and the 11th of September. And it's been a fluid situation as to what exactly this is going to be. It looks like maybe a tropical storm or something, but I did see at some point where there was rotation. It's the charts are changing, but wouldn't that be something if a storm hit the coast on 9/11? I mean, it probably wouldn't mean anything, but still, 20-year anniversary for that, and we all consider that to be a warning from God. Also, around this Rosh Hashanah time, we've got Labor Day, right? A Labor Day, and then a New Year for some people, and then right behind the other. Now, this is a 3-day weekend starting today for most Americans, but the Feast of Trumpets, Rosh Hashanah, is going to be September 7th and 8th, which is Tuesday and Wednesday after Labor Day. That goes through to Monday, right? For the weekend anyway. So we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's Labor Day, and then Rosh Hashanah, a new year. It's almost like having a baby, isn't it? Rosh Hashanah, it references God's sixth day when he was creating everything. And so I thought I'd go ahead and just look at it, read it out to you guys, what happened in Genesis, verse 6, I believe it is. It says, and God said, let there be a firmament. Is that right? Is that for the sixth day? No, there we go. What happened on the sixth day? I got the right one now. Sorry, people. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Now, I want to bring your attention to this because it just so happens that this Rosh Hashanah is a Shemitah year. It's when you don't plant. It's a time of rest. God, he worked for 6 days and he rested on the 7th. And we're supposed to not plant, sow anything during this year. And the people historically who planted, according to biblical prophecy, tended to have problems with their crops. Okay? But considering that we're getting ready, we're having shortages all over the place, right? Shortages everywhere. Things aren't going so well. You would think that this would be the worst time to not plant. But this is where faith in God comes in, and it always has on a Shemitah year. And that's also, I noticed it was 7 years ago almost, in a month or two or something, about this time in the fall. That's when I started telling people a famine is coming. That's when I started this channel. This will be starting the 7th year since I started this channel. Also at the same time. Hello, Sam King. Yes, you were first. Hello, Sunshine Girl, Teresa Wilson, and Clarissa. Yeah, Clarissa, I haven't even been getting notified for so many things, like especially the last 24 hours. If somebody's made a video, if my friend Paul and Adrian on, I have not been getting those notifications. It's at least you got notified, right? Okay, good. We got some people here. A thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right. It's going to get a little bit deeper, trust me. All right. So, the meaning of the numbers in Hebrew for their year is 5782, and their numbers have meanings to them. So every year it changes. It's kind of a prophetic thing, right? Because it's built into their alphabet and their language. But it's the year 5782, and 82 is called Pei Vet. And what that means, they said the Jews were saying that it has an acronym called meaning a year of wonders and miracles, because we're going to need some miracles. So I'm hoping this really is what they say. Now, Pei is for the number 80, and vet or bet is the number for 2. That's how they do this, okay? Pei means something, okay. First of all, the letter Pei has another letter hidden inside of it, like it's pregnant. And that's for this whole decade, right? Because we're in the 80s part of it, right? So it talks about things with the mouth, communication. Bet or vet has to do with your house, but it also has to do with mystery, creation. And you think about it, Rosh Hashanah is also talking about when man was created in creation, right? And the 6th day, creation, new beginning, which is another kind of thing about being pregnant and being in labor and having a baby. There's been some kind of change now, meaning things are going to be different starting very, very soon. Things are going to change. It's going to be a new beginning. And I thought about the fact that I warned for 6 years about a famine. Finally, people started figuring out, yeah, we need to go ahead and get ready for this. And yeah, it'll be 7 years real soon for me. A new beginning. And that's really the theme that seems to be popping out the most, is that there's a new beginning starting. We're starting a new chapter very, very soon. During a Shemitah year, when we can't plant or sow, we have to leave the land alone, our gardens alone. Okay. So whatever is there. Just leave it there. All right. And it reminds me of the story of Joseph, how he was told to prepare for 7 years, for 7 years of famine, right? So that you could get through that. And when you look around the world, we can start in America. If you don't really understand how the world is changing right now, then you might have missed the article that came out about huge crack in Minnesota on a bean farm. This crack is humongous. It looks like some of the land has come up. You can tell already that there's plate shifting globally. And it would have to be, really, because if one plate shifts and they're all connected, then it's going to cause all the other plates to be off kilter too. But there's an ongoing situation, right? So crops aren't going to be looking that good right now anyway, which goes back to those who would try to sow. It wouldn't work out so well, which, excuse me. Did I just lose my train of thought? I probably just did. we're really going to have to depend and really have that faith in God that we talk so much about. And there's a word that comes to mind, and that word is overcomers. God referred to overcomers in Revelation. He who overcomes, will I do this and will I do that? But that means that you go through something in order to have to overcome it, that there's some kind of struggle to overcome. There's what is spiritual, and then there is what is physical going on around you. Okay? And so you're going to have to overcome your own sin, but you're going to have to overcome a lot more, like your fear. You're going to have to really take it to heart now that God's love is sufficient. God is sufficient. Hi, Keith. Oh, I love you so much, Keith. Oh, you're going to have my heart forever. I met him in my early school years. Couldn't stand him, but we've been best friends. I mean, little kids, they don't necessarily like each other at first, but, he's definitely one that grows on you. Mwah. Forever, got my heart. K King, maybe, just maybe, we'll be going home this month. I always say we should be ready for anything. 7 years this month since the birth of 2 different cows with the number 7 on their forehead, like the dream for 7 years of famine feast, right? Hello, Shiny Rock darling. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad. The North American Mid-Continental Rift runs through Minnesota as well as Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, and it connects to the New Madrid Fault. Yes. And a lot is happening, isn't it? A lot underneath America and in the Gulf. It's places that we can't see it, but we can see what's happening from where we are. Like, they finally admitted those fires in California are magma driven. Okay. But, K King, I wanted to go back to your comment about 7 years this month about the birth of the cows with the number 7. They had found like 5 or 6 different red heifers in Texas that the Israel Institute was coming to check out. But also recently, they were talking in the news about a vine growing on the retaining wall of the Temple Mount that spells out God's name. They said like they're waiting for the rest of this last letter to finish forming. And there's always kind of this argument as to what the temple is, especially regarding the temple that's supposed to be built in the last days. They go, well, we're God's temple, which is true. But that does not take away from the fact that there was a literal temple that was destroyed and a prophecy that says a literal temple for the 3rd time will be built on top of these ruins. So, yes, we are a vessel for God. We are a temple. But there will actually be a physical temple that they're actually going to... Antichrist is prophesied to turn it into like a livestock barn for cattle or pigs or something. Something like that. So there is... It's funny that there's cows being born for that temple and cows being born with the number 7, and we are at the Shemitah year, right? So you're starting to see that miraculous things are happening, and for a year coming up soon that has the acronym for miracles, a year of miracles and wonders, new beginnings. It tells me that everything that God's been preparing me for since I was a little kid, it's all true, that in the midst of the darkness, there's always God's light. And the harder things get, the more miraculous things can get too. And I know that God has placed people for these times, prepared people like me for these times, these specific days. And to see the signs, he said, wait, sun, the moon, the stars, and in the earth, that there would be signs everywhere. Talk about here's your sign, okay? All right. We're moving right along here, aren't we? Now, speaking of people that I say, I've told you, there are people that God sent for this time. They are placed to be here. And there was this guy from this company called Vodafone. He was their boss, and he was saying a lot of things. But when he said it's our time now, he said it's time for a change of the guard. All those who didn't quite fit in the church setting he was talking about. He's saying you may not have fit in the church setting. You didn't quite fit in, he said. And I knew what that meant, that the people that have been waiting for their time, it's time. That the people, you know what I mean? The people that are sent here, the people that are going to be helping, the ones that are going to be part of, the army of light. We've got the teachers, the witnesses, the soldiers. I know it sounds crazy, but it's truth. But for him to actually say it's time for a change of the guard, that's regarding spiritually over the church, over the body of Christ. And it makes sense too. I mean, if they're closing down so many churches, things are going to have to change. It's going to have to be outside buildings. It's going to have to be more one-on-one. God is going to show us many, many miraculous things. Born for such a time as this. I want to welcome all of you again, and thank you for the thumbs up as always, and for your comments. Love those comments. Okay. Something interesting the other day. Timcast exclusive. Emergency response says Department of Defense has taken over a vac shipment crash that shuttered airspace. Now, we knew in the last days that plagues would come back. Old illnesses, plagues. It says that there would be, pestilence? That's illness. Without horsemen, it would be in the last days. People would be getting sick. But when you see that one of these trucks have crashed off of a bridge, land on its side, and apparently the contents in the vials spilled out into the ground. Okay, they had people out there with hazmat suits, apparently to decontaminate the area. And they're putting this stuff in people. It took them hours and hours to decontaminate that area from what was in those vials. Does that tell you anything? We have oil on the highways. We have oil spills and stuff. So maybe even if an engine, really, seriously, that's bad. If it's bad for the environment, and we come from the earth, as far as, we have a chemical makeup that is similar. We're connected. We are, carbon-based creatures is what I mean. If it's bad for the earth, it's probably bad for us, okay? We also notice that more and more shelves are going bare across the nation as the Shemitah year approaches. Even the restaurants are facing shortages with menu items, and now it's getting to the point where some restaurants are having to completely close down because they don't have anything they need for their restaurant, okay? So what we're going to do quickly next anyway is talk about what we knew and what we didn't know in prophecy before we could see it with our own two eyes today. Okay? Sense of revival. I'm telling you, when revival comes after a hard time. It's like we're in the days of Moses during the plagues, Things got really hard before the Exodus. But they were miraculous at the same time. You see what I'm saying? All right. So you realize that there are times a lot of people wish that they could see what we're seeing now. Not necessarily experience it themselves, but they wish they could know more. It was always such a huge mystery. And we get a chance now to just look around at each other and go, okay, there's the mockers and the scoffers, and here's the remnant, and here's the Antichrist kind of people, because there's the Antichrist and then there's people with the spirit of him, okay, that are very much like him, but they're not the Antichrist. But we've got a lot of false teachers. We get to see who these characters actually are. When it talks about the plagues that came onto the earth, now we can see what they are. We can see what they could not. And so we're going to go over that super quick. 4 tacos at a restaurant for $20 today. My daughter, she works as a waitress, and she said they had to up the chicken fried steak on the menu from like $13.99 to $16.99, but definitely $16. Yeah, the prices are going up. All right. We knew old plagues would come back. We just didn't know it would come from psychos playing around in a lab. We knew that there would be famine, but now we know that it wasn't just environmental issues that caused it. It was in part a large pre-planned event from global government. So yes, God is breaking things down on earth, yes, but the government told farmers to kill their herds and cut down their crops. That's a fact. We knew that eventually America would be invaded, but we never knew why. Nowadays, even that seems to be becoming clearer. The Bible said that we would experience strange times. Now we know of the Mandela effect. That's just a start, okay? I know y'all might think I'm lying or crazy, but there is a casserole dish in my cabinet that I know has been clear. All this time, I've had it for years. It's clear. It is now a clear blue. And my daughter swears it's always been clear blue. And I'm like, no, it hasn't. But I was like, okay, Mandela strikes again. I don't know if that happens to y'all, but sometimes weird stuff does happen to me like that. It's not just something I'm seeing on TV or reading other stories, but at the same time, it's like, okay, at least, it's not just happening to me, in the sense that nobody likes to be alone in something so weird. It's harmless, blue, clear, who cares? But the point is, it's weird, okay? I don't know if anything like that has happened to y'all. Okay, so we are living in strange times, just like the Bible said. We even knew the seasons would be off, which sounded completely wild to all of us hearing about this in church years and decades ago. Seasons will be off. What's that? Now we know what they didn't know before, is that we are connected as a part of a binary solar system. That means that two solar systems are connected. They're twins. And that's universal across the board with every solar system. It turns out that every solar system has a twin. And because the blue Kachina is actually a magnetar and that red star is actually an iron oxide planet, it's no wonder that it's bending and warping our solar system. It's no wonder that our magnetosphere our shields are down and things are getting through and causing all these problems. We didn't know that. We just knew it was happening, and yet all of these things are. We knew that animals and sea life would be dying, but we didn't know why. It's that binary solar system heating up the core, causing, bean plant cracks in Minnesota to open up and such, and coral reefs underneath the ground to be cooked, crabs underneath there to be cooked. Okay, we did, but here it is. And it's when your earth is under a lot of pressure, it lets off different frequencies and tones. And then you might see various animal die-offs, because at certain frequencies, it can kill certain animals and bird life. Okay. But with the plagues here, we also see now that the animals and sea life are also being plagued with illness, really gross illness, crusty eyes and everything. We knew that persecution of Christians would rise. We know that is because Satan is here. He has a short time, but we never could just understand it. And to be honest with you, now that I'm seeing it with my two eyes, I still don't understand it. Okay. But it's happening. We knew there would be an increase in natural disasters. There is. Okay. Straight up. We knew that there would be economic hardships. Now, that's another important key to talk about, because we're starting a Shemitah year, and Shemitah years usually come with a blessing or they come with serious problems. All right. And when I look at the past over every 7 years, from say like the last 100 years, because somebody else did a presentation, they did the work, but I could see it. It's usually some kind of stock market crash on the Shemitah years. Think about that. Now, it's pretty obvious our economy is tanking. Like the Titanic. Okay, for real. It is flatlining. And so with a prophecy like that, something that you see consistently over the years, that's frightening. Okay? I want you to be prepared for that. And not only that, but Chuck Youngbrand had prophesied that the petrodollar would eventually be killed by the yuan. And Sale Daddy One reports on YouTube that the petrodollar just collapsed. That was a couple of days ago, I think I wrote that. Okay. Yesterday was a big day for me. My son moved out. Something else happened. I can't remember. It was time to pay bills. I don't know. But back to the subject. Yeah, we knew the riots and civil unrest would be here. The signs in the earth, moon, and stars. Okay, now when you talk about the earth, vine growing on the Temple Mount with God's name in Hebrew, that's pretty interesting. Okay, but there are things that we could expect in the near future, prophecies that have not come to pass just yet. More natural disasters, the total economic crash. We're not quite there, but we're about to be. And then you want to talk really super duper fast on the building of a third temple prophecy. Okay. Now, a lot of people connect that to a two-state solution to make that possible. And even though a lot of people, there's still people that say, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not, certain people aren't going to go for it. Yet there are people talking about it. And I told you Biden is in this. Well, I just kind of looked up the articles about who's in it now this week as far as trying to go for a two-state solution. Pakistan was on there, India, and then this interesting article says survey on two-state solution shows Israel advocates cling to it, something or whatever. But the line says the two-state solution is a mantra inside the Democratic Party, who's in charge right now, and the liberal establishment. You understand? It's not just a thing they consider. It's a mantra for the Democrats and the liberals. Just talking about this with other government leaders causes problems here in America. It just does. Anytime we even talk about it, we pay for it. And they usually are called declaring a disaster somewhere in America. Okay. So yeah, we got this whole Palestinian, Egyptian presidents discussing it, Pakistan, Indian, and a whole slew of other people. But, oh, okay, it's probably not going to happen. Just, okay. Wars and rumors of wars. That's going on as we speak. Increasing famine and the invasion on American soil by Russia, China, and some sleeper Middle Easterners that are already here. That is still to come. And the false Christ, we will see more of those. False Christ, false teachers, false prophets. Okay, so I want you to be very aware of that. But a lot of you already are. I just thought that it would be really important to give you an understanding of what time that we are entering in. So that's right. That's why it's going to have to be a time of miracles. Just when the government thinks it's got all the control in the world and it's causing its people to cry unto God, miracles come. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just look over this really quick. I think we've actually been in beginning of sorrows for a while now, to be honestly. But that's my dumb opinion. The least they find is to. Well, thank you for that correction. I did not know that, K King. Rock showed us that civilizations prior to us survived by creating cities underground, which a lot of people have. Bunkers, even the government. Glomus on the wall. Okay, so, all right. I'm going to go ahead and get off the horn for today. Have a good weekend. Be safe and responsible. Wear your seatbelts. There's going to be a lot of crazy people on the road. God bless you all. I will talk to you soon. Bye.